Hi guys, rise and shine, we grind, we are all fine, and the sun shines for yours and mine. My name is Tyrone, and welcome back to my show. Today, I would like to touch up on two topics, and I kind of want to make it shortly abbreviated this time. But today, I want to talk about reassurance and discouragement. I feel that anything that we touch up on when it comes to my show, it's something that we all go through. It's something that we have to work on. It's something that I feel not a lot of us look at, and we'll go past these things and say, I'll do it tomorrow, or it's not really something that I need to worry about. But reassurance and discouragement is something that ties with how we feel about ourselves, and it's something that we definitely need to work on because it's emotional. It's an emotional thing, you know. When we reassure ourselves, when we reassure ourselves, it has everything to do with validating beliefs or validating a certain way a person thinks. And it takes away those fears of what what might it takes away those fears of how you view that aspect of your life, of how you might view that certain thing. um when it comes to reassurance is a form of encouragement that helps people get through those trials and tribulations. When it comes to like say being on a stage, there's a lot of people that like musicians or people that just get up on a stage and act. They'll have a form of, or they'll have a person, or they'll have affirmations before they go on stage, and they'll tell themselves, all right, you got this. This is something that I got. you know it, it it's just different forms of encouragement by taking the fears off of yourself. Sometimes we might catch a little bit of fright. Sometimes you might catch fear, and reassurance, whether it be from ourselves, like I said earlier, or from somebody else that we know, it takes away that form of disbelief within oneself. It takes away that form of saying that I'm not going to, I don't think I can do this. And with reassurance is definitely important because if we couldn't reassure ourselves, then we would walk around here with so much anxiety, so much fear on us. So reassurance is definitely imperative for our lives, and it is important for developmental growth as a collective, as for all of us, excuse me. When it comes to discouragement, discouragement has everything to do with low feelings of self-doubt. It has everything to do with lack of motivation or the loss of assuredness. Now, when I say these things, I mean discouragement has everything to do with self-doubt. Let's just break it down like that. When we discourage ourselves, we put down our self-confidence, or we bring our confidence low. Excuse me. In terms of lack of motivation, discouragement gives you a feeling of, oh, I can't, I don't think I can do this because I feel that this is not for me, or that I'm not that good. Those are forms of discouragement. And it's important and see, I want us to get the good and the bad. Excuse me to cut that off, but I want us to get the good and the bad so we realize that when we go through the bad, it's important for us to learn that lesson. What was important for us to, how can we approach it with a different solution? How can we approach the solution instead of approaching the problem? You know, it's important for us to identify what's going on, but it's also important for us to identify more of the good part than the bad part. I feel like you learn the bad, and you learn from the bad, but you also learn what you should be. And it's important for us to just kind of find a balance to these things. It's important for us to be able to acknowledge both. It's important for us to acknowledge reassurance and discouragement. When we are feeling discouraged, we are showing feelings of lack. We feel we kind of critically think critically think in a way where it's hindering to our minds, and it makes us think about ourselves in a certain way or a certain aspect. And when I talk about stuff like that, I talk about low self-esteem. Critical thinking. When I talk about critical thinking, we talk about low self-esteem. When it comes to discouragement, it definitely gives you a form of low self-esteem, because not only are you lowering your confidence, but you're speaking lowly of yourself and saying that you can't do this. You're saying that you don't have the skill. It's basically like calling yourself ugly, or before you head up on the stage, like I said earlier, you're saying, nah, I'm not the type of person that can do this. But the most important thing is to show forms of reassurance. If you don't get forms of reassurance from anybody else, the best form of reassurance that you're going to get is from self. Self-love and self-care is the most important care that you're ever going to get before you get it from somebody else. And reassurance teaches you about different forms. It's a different form of self-love and self-care. And if we focus more on the reassurance and validating our belief systems and our ideologies by taking away the fear, then we'll be able to understand that we don't need forms of discouragement. We don't need to discourage ourselves within every route of life, because we know that we will be able to overcome our humps or overcome adversity. You know, there are different forms or different people that go through these things daily, putting themselves down, disbelieving in themselves, and I don't want that. I always want a person to believe that they can do it. I always have faith in a person, knowing that they can do it, knowing that they have the ability to. And there's just so many beautiful people walking around the world that put themselves in a disencouragement category, and I just don't like to see that. So to anybody that might be seeing this, I hope that this could have been a blessing. The reason that I felt like we needed to touch up on this was because it's important. It's important to just encourage and motivate ourselves, but also define and decipher what is discouragement, what are different forms of discouragement, how can I stop discouraging myself and stop taking away from the beautiful moments, or just the beautiful emotions that I can contribute towards my mental. We have to start thinking about different ways to take care of ourselves instead of other people taking care of us. And sometimes we'll get it from somebody, but we won't pay attention as much as we pay attention to ourselves and the way that we need it. But I feel that reassurance. I feel that because we go through so much suffering as a collective, as just human beings living on this earth, we go through a lot of suffering. It's important for us to find a balance when it comes to looking at the bad parts and looking at the good parts. And that's why today I want us to focus on looking more at reassurance than we do at discouragement, because believe it or not, just like it's harder to not try than it is to try. It's harder to motivate yourself than to discourage yourself, because when you discourage yourself, you're just putting yourself down and down and down and down, and nobody wants to do that. I love all of you, you know what I mean, and I want all of you guys to know that. When it comes to our routes in life, I always want people to know that nobody's alone throughout every journey. There's always somebody that's going to be is always going to be somebody that's either going through way more than you, or maybe just about the same, or something similar. You know, But the most important thing is to let yourself know that you're not the only one going through the same thing. And when you let yourself know that you're not going through the same thing, that's like another form of reassurance, you know? Is giving yourself the confidence to say that, okay, I'm not the only person that's going through these types of things, so why should I fear? Why should I have to fear what I'm going through, knowing that there's another strong person out here that's going through the same thing? You know, we have to encourage ourselves in these forms of ways, because if we don't, then we just keep on pushing ourselves deeper into that well. And I want us to rise up. I want all of us to rise up, and I deeply have faith in each and every person that watches these videos, but I also want you to show forms of self love to yourself. I hope that this was a blessing to you guys. If it was, please leave a thumbs up, please comment, please subscribe, and click the notification bell links just to get some notifications whenever I post anything up on YouTube. I love you guys again. Hope you all have a beautiful evening or a beautiful morning. And I'll see you guys on the next one.